Cleaning up Venezuela is already leading to some good deals for American businesses in several categories, and Bert the Emu has finally been caught. Hello there again. Welcome to the Harley Carnes podcast. Harley on the headlines. Really glad you're there. A quick reminder, please help us get out the word. We're in a lot of different places. Just let folks know about it. We'd appreciate it. The War Powers Act. That's an important law. It's a law that says, and this is me trying to use some, normal words, that a president, in the United States at least, is not a power unto himself. He or she cannot prosecute war by himself, committing American money, resources, and military might, and our soldiers and sailors to war by himself, at least not for long. Presidents are not dictators in the U.S. Now, a president can commit troops temporarily almost anywhere at their own choosing, but only for a very short period of time, say to protect Americans in harm's way in some distant place. Doesn't need Congress for that. After 60 days, it becomes actual war making, and that's when a president needs Congress on his side four square. The president also does not have to tell Congress before sending troops in the first instance. He has 48 hours to do that, so he does not have to get permission. So up till now, President Trump has done things according to Hoyle, so to speak, lawfully. By the way, notifying Congress amounts to getting some key members on the phone and letting them know, or more likely calling them into the Oval Office if it's during the daytime, during working hours, for a quick chat. In this case, the whole invasion of Venezuela and the apprehension of Nicolas Maduro on narco charges was done in a matter of hours. One night, no casualties, a brilliantly conceived and prosecuted operation. So now we are at today. Democrats are demanding that the president get permission before going any farther. Now, technically, he may or may not have to do that because he's not making war against Venezuela, and it hasn't been 60 days yet, but he has taken over their oil and gas industry. The blockade is not an overt act of war, though many blockades have led to war in the course of history. They're usually a tool of war making, and certainly a tool of heavyweight diplomacy under different circumstances. Technicalities aside, Congress is right to get involved. They are the people we sent to Washington to represent our interests, even though most of them tend to take care of their own interests first, even if they run counter to what most voters actually want. So here's the political situation. Suppose the Senate votes on resolutions before it that would tell President Trump no more action against Venezuela unless we say so. Doesn't have any weight beyond publicity. The House has to make the decision, too. Now, the House could pass the same bill, and it would be by the narrowest of margins. And then the president could and might veto it. And since it takes a 2/3 vote to overturn a presidential veto, then nothing happens. All of that is the way the system works. Now, politically, that might be bad for the president because it would make him look authoritarian, and his coattails could shrink all the way to his butt cheeks for the midterm elections. Republicans cannot afford that, so it's quite the quandary, huh? Democrats can stand on the sidelines and chirp, 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 and call him names and make accusations with and without substance, knowing the Venezuelan enterprise would make the hemisphere safer, knowing it would restore American dominance and influence, diminish the influence and the access of our primary and active adversary, China, and add pressure on Russia to our advantage. Plus, it'll be a moneymaker for the U.S. Democrats could know all of that. If nothing else, the president can refill our national oil reserves which Biden drained in his ineffectual efforts to manipulate oil prices for political benefit. So, in the meantime, Maduro will go to trial and thence to prison for a very, very long time. He's a very bad actor, so is his wife. So are his cadre, who are still in power in Venezuela, though they are unable to do very much damage at this point. Trump's squeezed them, into pretty narrow confines. It all kind of depends on what the U.S. government does. And Trump's not out of his 60 days yet, Democrats might as well pipe down, but they're not. They're planning to vote, going to make some noise. So ultimately, here's the question. Now, I don't mean right now while they're arguing and fussing and playing politics, but ultimately, Democrats have to decide. Do you join Republicans in an effort to restore more order in this hemisphere, to get back what was taken from the U.S. by Venezuelan governments in the past? We and U.S. oil companies had been partners in Caracas oil business, built it for them, but they broke the partnership, sent us packing, and stole billions because they took all the equipment and the oil wells too. Do Democrats join Republicans in an effort to make free and fair elections possible in Venezuela? And then, as we have done in country after country, monitor while the people there make their choices about their government. Now, if the answers to all of that are no, and the only reason is because it's Trump, that's TDS. And that's a disservice to this country, to this hemisphere, and to the people of Venezuela who have been rejoicing that help has finally arrived. Should American troops be committed to Venezuela, troops in the broadest term, meaning Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, as necessary? That question ultimately will be in the hands of Congress. Now, all that being said, it's another day, and that means something is happening in Trump land. Venezuela's interim leaders, suspect though they are, have made a quick deal with the Trump administration that will pay big money. I say have made a quick deal or are making a quick deal. The U.S. will act as the broker for Venezuela oil sales. Of course, we get a piece of it. The funds from that deal will be used to purchase, for Venezuela, only American-made products. So that's a two-way street. That's good for us. That means American grain and other agricultural products. It means American pharmaceuticals and medical devices. American energy equipment from the oil fields to the electric power plants. Now, this does two things. It means real activity for American businesses in several sectors. And it puts China on the sidelines because all of those areas are strengths for China globally. Importantly, it's worth noting that Venezuela's state-owned oil and gas company, Petróleos de Venezuela, or PDVSA, is negotiating with the U.S., as they put it, within the framework of existing commercial relations, legally and transparently, and to the benefit of both countries. That's important because if Democrats say Trump is stealing their oil, Venezuela would say they're wrong. It's a business deal. It's probably one of many deals that are being negotiated. All of this is part of phase one of the Trump plan. Stabilize Venezuela with the proper use of oil sales money. In other words, put an end to the actual theft of that money by the crooks who've been running Venezuela and put the money back into purchasing things the people there need, making sure they buy from the U.S. in the process is part of the deal. That's the 30 to 50 million barrels of oil you've been hearing about. And the plan is for the Trump administration to make sure that money is used to benefit Venezuelans, not the crooks at the top. So it's not charity. The U.S. will benefit as well, but most of this is for the benefit of Venezuela. Next issue. Why should the U.S. be a member of an organization that constantly criticizes and attacks the U.S.? That's a pretty fair question. President Trump says the U.S. is going to withdraw from 66 such organizations, 31 are UN agencies that promote the globalists' liberal agendas. 35 are non-UN groups that do the same thing, and for the most part are actively anti-American. Trump says, we're out of here. While all of that is happening, and it is all important, for the most part, we the people, we just go on living our lives, We work and work and work, buy the groceries. By the way, it's easy to notice that some prices are down a bit, at least, down enough to notice. We do all the things we do, and for the most part, we just don't want people who claim power over us to get in our way. We mostly wish they just get the heck out of the way so we can stretch our arms wide and live however we choose to live, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. We care about stuff when we don't have to. In California, on a rocky Hesperia mountain, that's the name of the mountain, a hiker spotted a German Shepherd that was stuck on a ledge. He was down low, near a raging stream, and the water was not only rough and dangerous, it was rising. San Bernardino County sent the fire department. They brought a raft, and they saved the dog. Unofficially, they nicknamed him River. In Pennsylvania, an emu has been wandering around for several days. Emus are hard to catch if they won't stand still, and this one sure didn't, not for a while. Bert is his name. His owner was looking for him all over. Lower Windsor Township. Bert was finally found and recaptured in the Red Lion area of that woodsy township out in the country. In Oklahoma City, a cow got out and was running around town. No big problem. A man hopped on his horse, caught the cow, lassoed him, brought him back to the corral. It's Oklahoma. They still have folks who can do that sort of thing. The Cattlemen's Congress trade show is underway in Oak City. They figure that's where the runaway came from. You know anything about sky surfing? It's when you skydive with a snowboard on your feet, and for a while you ride the atmosphere, as they call it, on the board. Now, certainly, you can feel the pressure of the air on the board, and as you move it, it moves you just like snow does, except the air is a lot thinner and you're actually coming down fast, though not as fast as free falling. Nobody has sky surfed as high as Olga Naumova, who is from Belarus. She jumped out of a helicopter at 20,945 feet right over Mount Everest and sky surfed down to pull her chute and glide to a landing at 12,356 feet. Guinness record? Sure. Pretty impressive. She jumped where the air is too thin for most people to breathe and rode the atmosphere on the board and then under her wing canopy for more than 8,000 feet to one of the mountain's camp altitudes. She said she did it to inspire girls not to be scared, to be bold, and to dream big. That's pretty good advice for boys, too. No doubt about that. Thanks for joining us in today's podcast, Harley on the Headlines. Sure to appreciate it. We're on several platforms. The podcast is growing. We appreciate the help. Can't really do it without you. So please like, follow, subscribe, share the link. I am Harley Carnes, and we're going to do this again.